There are tons of horror games on Steam, so sometimes it's hard to pick which one to get. That's why I put together a list of ones that are actually worth playing. I've included free, paid, and multiplayer games. We'll start with the free ones. First up is Bushside Rangers, a first-person survival horror game where you play as Vera, a teenage trespasser exploring the abandoned Bushside Rangers nature park. 5 years ago, the park mysteriously shut down, and now it's overgrown, deserted, and crawling with its twisted, starving mascots. What was once a place of fun has become a nightmare. You'll have to scavenge for resources, manage your supplies, and sneak through the park while uncovering the dark mystery of what happened. Number 2, Reminiscence, a psychological horror narrative game built around time-shifting puzzles. You'll find yourself trapped between two realities, one set in a pristine 1950s home, and the other in a decayed, haunted version of the same place. By warping, rewinding, and jumping through these different timelines, you'll slowly uncover the story of a family tragedy tied to your experiments with time itself. Number 3, The Complex Found Footage, a walking simulator where you explore vast liminal spaces through the lens of an old VHS camera. Inspired by the Backrooms internet legend, the game drops you into endless, unsettling environments, empty office halls, sterile corridors, and surreal architecture that never feels quite right. There's no combat or puzzles, just slow, creeping exploration with a constant sense that you might not be alone. Number 4 is Scauage, a psychological horror experience with multiple endings. You play as a scavenger exploring a deserted miner's house in a ghost town, looting for supplies and piecing together the secrets left behind. The game leans heavily into atmosphere, dark rooms, flickering lights, and the ever-present sense that you shouldn't be there. Every choice you make and every item you pick up can shift how the story concludes, leaving you with different outcomes depending on how you play. Number 5 is Rental, a short survival horror game where you play as Umi, spending summer vacation with her family in a rented beachside cabin. At first it seems like the perfect getaway, but it doesn't take long before you realize the rental isn't what was promised. Exploring the cabin reveals strange details and unsettling secrets, while a cast of quirky characters keeps you guessing about what's really going on. Number 6, The Windows Are Gone, a surreal psychological horror game about grief, memory, and the feeling of being trapped inside your own mind. After personal tragedy, you begin dreaming of a strange house that seems to call you closer. When you finally move in, everything feels familiar yet deeply unsettling. As you unpack and settle in, the house itself starts reflecting your guilt. Number 7, Nightmare Files Clap Clap, where you're thrown into the shoes of a house sitter. You've answered a paper ad, taken the job, and stepped into a home that slowly turns uncanny. Using a clapping mechanic to toggle the 80s style home automation on and off, you discover that every light has a shadow and every shadow hides something. Alright, now let's move on to the paid horror games. First up is Still Wakes the Deep, a first-person horror game set on a Scottish oil rig in the 1970s. You're stuck out at sea in a storm, the rig is falling apart, and something inhuman has found its way on board. With no weapons or no way to call for help, you're forced to sneak through tight corridors, crawl through vents, and squeeze past rusted machinery while the structure shakes around you. Number 2, It Steals, a weird little horror game that changes the rules every time you play. Sometimes it throws you into pitch black hallways with only a flashlight, other times it forces you to keep moving while something stalks you, or it flips everything into a maze where silence is your only defense. Each mode has its own monster with its own behavior, so the game keeps you guessing and you never really feel safe. Number 3, My Friendly Neighborhood. My Friendly Neighborhood looks like a goofy Saturday morning puppet show, but it's secretly a survival horror game. You're dropped into a TV studio overrun by cheery, half-broken puppets that want nothing more than to tear you apart. Instead of guns and gore, you're armed with quirky tools like a letter shooter to deal with the enemies. The humor and bright colors clash with the eerie vibes, which makes the whole thing even creepier. Number 4, The inn-Sanity, a first-person psychological horror game where you arrive at a luxury hotel planning to stay for just one night. But while you're there, the city outside collapses into chaos. Quarantine is declared and the hotel guests begin turning into deranged, deformed creatures. The alien influence that's twisting them starts creeping into your mind too, and your only chance of survival is figuring out who you can trust. You interact with other survivors, some may turn out to be enemies, other friends, or even something more, and your choices shape how the story ends. Number 5, Out of Sight. Out of Sight puts you in the role of Sophie, a blind girl trapped inside a dark mansion. The twist here is that you see the world through the eyes of your teddy bear, creating a unique second-person perspective where you're both vulnerable and oddly distant from what's happening around you. As Sophie, you sneak through the house, avoiding dangerous captors while slowly uncovering the grim history hidden in its walls. You know what's scarier than these horror games? Paying full price for them. That's where today's sponsor, Instant Gaming, comes in. They sell PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and even Nintendo games at big discounted prices, sometimes almost 100% off. They cover everything from the latest AAA releases to smaller indies, all at a fraction of the price. When you find a game you want, you just buy the key, redeem it, and then head over to the platform you bought it for and paste it in. It's that easy. So save yourself some money and go check them out. The link's in the description and pinned comment, and using it also helps support the channel. Now let's get back to the games. Number 6, Fear the Spotlight, a third-person horror adventure with a strong 90s horror vibe. You sneak into Sunnyside High with your friend Amy for a seance, but it goes horribly wrong. Amy disappears, something unnatural prowls the halls, and the only way forward is to stay out of the light. You'll solve puzzles, dig into a decades-old tragedy, and piece together what really happened at the school while trying not to get caught in the spotlight yourself. Number 7, Interior Worlds, a slow, eerie walking sim where you explore empty, liminal spaces through the lens of a vintage SLR camera. Parking garages, quiet corridors, abandoned shop, all captured in stark detail as you snap photos and try to make sense of why these spaces feel so wrong. There are no jump scares, no monsters. It's all about the atmosphere. Just you, your camera, and the uneasy silence of places that should feel normal but don't. Number 8, Dollmare, a psychological horror game set inside a doll factory where you've been hired to inspect each figure on the assembly line. At first it's simple, check for defects, follow the rules, keep the job. But the longer you work, the more the dolls start behaving in ways they shouldn't. Subtle changes in their faces, strange sounds in the factory, and the rules that suddenly don't seem safe to follow. Number 9, The Mortuary Assistant, a first-person horror game where you take on an apprenticeship at Riverfield's mortuary. At first it's routine, embalming bodies late at night and handling the daily work of caring for the deceased. But you soon realize these bodies aren't ordinary, and neither are you. Something demonic has taken hold inside the mortuary, and once you start, you can't leave. You'll perform embalming tasks while practicing occult rituals to identify which body is possessed, then piece together clues to banish the entity before it claims your soul. Number 10, Skinwalker Hunt, a survival horror hunting sim set in open wilderness. You're a seasoned hunter tracking down a shape-shifting skinwalker. Armed with rifles, traps, and your wits, you'll follow signs, set ambushes, and try to survive against an unpredictable predator that can stalk you in return. Number 11, The Cabin Factory, an atmospheric horror game where you inspect prefabricated cabins fresh off the factory line. Your job is simple: walk through each cabin, look for anomalies, and decide if the cabin is safe or if something unnatural has taken root inside. Number 12, Tormented Souls, a survival horror game inspired by classics like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. You play as Caroline Walker, investigating the disappearance of twin girls at Winter Lake when you suddenly wake in the dead of the night, trapped in a bathtub and hooked up to strange medical equipment. From there, you're forced to explore the abandoned mansion turned hospital, fighting off creatures and solving puzzles to uncover the truth. Number 13, Summer of 58, a first-person psychological horror set in an abandoned Soviet pioneer camp. You arrive in the summer of 2008 to investigate after you heard rumors of a tragedy that shut the camp down back in 1958. What starts as quiet exploration quickly turns unsettling as you sift through notes, children's belongings, and decaying dorm rooms while something unseen moves in the dark. Alright, now I'm going to show you a few multiplayer horror games. First up is Zort, a co-op survival horror that lets you play solo or with up to 4 players. The goal is simple: explore dark maze-like maps, collect the items you need, and find the exit before the creatures hunting you catch up. Proximity voice chat makes every communication key, and sanity mechanics means the longer you stay, the worse things get. Every run feels different, with enemies that force you to split up, regroup, and scramble just to survive the night. Number 2, Imposter, a deduction-based horror game set in a creepy dollhouse for 1 to 4 players. You're tasked with figuring out which doll is secretly the imposter before sunrise. Each night you'll watch their movements, set traps, and use clues to rule out suspects, but the imposter won't just sit still. Dolls wander, sabotage each other, and act unpredictable, making every investigation feel tense and uncertain. Number 3, Backrooms Escape Together, a multiplayer survival horror where you and up to 5 friends are thrown into the endless yellow halls of the Backrooms. Each level is procedurally generated with new layouts, puzzles, and entities waiting inside. You'll need to work together to search for supplies, solve objectives, and avoid creatures lurking in the hum of the fluorescent lit maze. Number 4, The Other Side, a 1 to 4 player co-op ghost hunting game. You can head out alone or team up with friends to investigate haunted locations full of restless spirits. Communication is key with in-game voice chat as you share discoveries, call out dangers, and react to unexpected encounters in real time. Each job has you gathering clues to identify what kind of ghost you're dealing with, then cleansing the area area using specialized equipment. Progression goes beyond just hunts. You'll earn money to buy new gear, customize your character, upgrade vehicles, and even outfit your team's headquarters as a shared hub. At number 5, the Outlast Trials, a first-person survival horror set during the Cold War, where you're a human test subject trapped in a series of twisted psychological experiments run by the Murkoff Corporation. You can play solo or with up to 4 players as you sneak through nightmarish trial chambers, avoid sadistic enemies, and complete objectives to survive each test. That's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you for watching.